Good morning, everybody. I'm going to start with a bit of a video, and then I'll go into introductions and that kind of thing.
The Movember Foundation's mission is to help stop men dying too young. Movember started out with just a few guys growing moustaches for fun. It's since turned into a global phenomenon. Every year, hundreds of thousands of men come together to grow moustaches and help raise funds and awareness for men's health issues, like prostate cancer and mental health. Oracle Cloud is an important part of what we do. It helps us innovate in the digital space. We can better connect to more of our fundraisers, and thanks to their efforts, we can help men live happier, healthier, longer lives. Our fathers, partners, brothers and friends are facing a health crisis right now, and it's not being talked about. So, the more effective we can be in using technology, the faster we can move to achieving our goals. Oracle Cloud is helping the Movember Foundation change the face of men's health.
I think it's very fitting for the month we're in. I apologize that I don't have Movember on. I'm not genetically kind of programmed to grow moustaches. I kind of look like Fu Manchu if I try to do that. And then also give away some of my ethnicity there. Anyway, so we've got a team of people here. You'll see them in the red shirts. Please go up to them and speak to them. They're my colleagues. They're actually mostly from overseas, so please go and have a conversation with them, find out where they're from and what they're doing here. You will find them outside by our easels. We've got what we call a deconstructed stand, so they'll be all over the place. So please connect with them and connect with me if you so wish. Anyway, I'm going to introduce myself. And this is where I kind of want some of your input, please. And we'll start that off because it's kind of like Shawn by numbers. So I am the Customer Experience Strategy Lead for Africa. So I cover South Africa, SADC, and East-West Africa. So the lady from Tanzania, I will be there not next week, the following week. Okay, so 23, any ideas? If you thought my age, you're right. No, that's the number of years I've spent in IT. 17, any thoughts? No, so that's the amount of time I've spent doing CX-based solutions and also looking at CX strategy. I've worked in the UK, obviously in South Africa, but in Europe and across Africa. 4. That's correct. I've got 4 kids. It's my eldest daughter, Christine, Nathan, Kelly, and Oliver. 13.
The age of your
No, I think my eldest would be quite upset if you called her, well, she'd probably be quite happy if you called her 13. No, so that's my golf handicap, just in case. So I also do other things like cycle, CrossFit, Kung Fu, because I'm half Chinese. And I used to play ice hockey here in South Africa, actually.
Where did you play?
Carlton. Originally Carlton, and then Cresta thereafter. 11 is basically the different countries I've worked in around the world. Now, you might look at this and say, oh, is Shawn here to talk about himself? No, I'm not. You know, the reason why I do this, and I do it a bit differently, is because I think it's very important for us to understand who we are. Now, I was in Dubai a couple of years ago. I was a guest speaker at the Middle East Retail Forum. And the keynote was delivered by one of the Emiratis, and he was in his whites. And he came out and he walked amongst the conclave. And he put his hand out to people and said, do you want to touch me? Do you want to touch me? And people were kind of quite taken aback by why he was walking up and saying, do you want to touch me? So he kind of started his speech and he said this, he said, you guys come to my country, you go and you set up your stores in the malls. When I walk in my whites, you want to sell me everything. But when I come in with my Nikes, you ignore me. And then when I go in your stores and I ask which way is west, your staff don't know which way is west for me to pray. And if I go into your stores, I also look for a toilet and you don't have toilets for me. So that got me thinking at that, when he did the keynote. And I remembered this from my work in in public sector. And Batupili, a lot of people will know in the audience that is a Sotho term for people first. And it had a set of principles, a set of 8 principles. And I think if you look at this and you read this, you'll agree that these principles are still extremely relevant today. 2 of the sub-principles that I really liked when dealing with this was show me that you know me and speak my language. Obviously extremely important in South Africa in that we have 11 official languages, but speak my language is not necessarily about language necessarily. It's also about, you know, if I'm speaking to a group of marketers and I start talking about PAS and IAS and DAS, you know, you guys are going to look at me like I'm a moron. But don't ask me what they are because I don't know either. I'm joking. So it could be different, and it's different for different industries. And this was brought in by Mr. Nelson Mandela back in 1997, and it was a guideline, and you'll often see it, especially if you go to the police stations, you'll see it outside there, Batupili, and it's really there to transform the public services and the way that they interact with citizens and so on. I use it more from a customer, consumer, citizen perspective, but you know, I think that there's some great insight in this. So I have a different kind of recipe that I've kind of formulated over the last couple of weeks. And what I call it is, there's 2 components to this. And I like what we heard as far as the panel was concerned. The one lady, Michelle, was talking about the human aspect to things. So that really ties into what I believe is what we should be looking at. So I've got people experience is equal to employee experience plus customer experience, citizen experience, stakeholder experience, you call it what you want. But for me, it's about people. Ultimately, as they say, you know, this device doesn't buy product from you. This device doesn't get service from you. It's the individual using the device, and it's the person. And I think sometimes people are too focused on building for the channel and ignore the person. So that's where the biggest challenges come in from a digital transformation perspective, is that if you ignore any of the 2, employee or customer, the people, and you do not get adoption by them, your strategy will fail. One of the key things here also is change management. Change management is key and even more important now than it was before, especially with an environment that's transforming at the rate it is. So you've seen this statement before, I've changed it. You know, the opportunity to interact with someone is an opportunity to build trust, and ultimately, trust is the basis of relationships. And what we're trying to do at the end of the day and the transition in the world now, especially if you say look at retail, retail's very transactional. And what we've got to move from is stop being transactional but be more relationship focused, building experiences with our customers, building relationships with them. People, like they say, people buy from people. People like people. People work with people they trust. So that's ultimately what you're trying to do in your interactions with your customer, whether that's being a sale kind of component, whether that's being service, whether that's marketing. Ultimately, in those interactions, what you're trying to achieve is build trust. And as the lady from MTN said, it's great to have this criticism, and criticism is good. And it's a fantastic opportunity to get back to your customer and get back to them on time and in a positive manner in order to build trust. So I've got another video here, which is one of the customers that use Oracle, and then I'll get into some of the more detail.
Via is a software company. Our main focus is customer engagement and team engagement software. Via is about 13,000 people. Yeah, we're worldwide, we're everywhere. We have some of the best solutions on the market. Our biggest challenge now is just bringing those solutions to the market and messaging that appropriately and getting the industry to realize the kind of competitive advantage that Avaya can bring. No matter where you are in the world, if you engage with Avaya, you're engaged the same way. No more general messaging. Let's find out really who you are, what you're interested in, so the customer experience is very, very specific and focused for each customer. customer. In order to do that, we need to know quite a bit about you. Marketers get in trouble when they take too much in, they can't digest it all, and they make improper decisions based on too much data. And so now it's just a matter of assimilating that data and finding out what's important to someone becoming our customer. And that's where technology comes in. I went to Avaya, we were actually already on Oracle, and that's one of the reasons why I moved there, because I knew the Oracle Marketing Cloud at Avaya would just help me be more successful. They're always forward-looking, so they're always looking what's next. No, there's been many, many occasions where I've said, you know, it would be really nice if I could do X, and then 3 months later, I can do X. So Oracle is very good about looking at what does the marketer need, what's the new ways customers are engaging with their companies and their organizations, and then what are the ways those organizations need to harness that channel. In terms of a communication vehicle, you have obviously email. You have the social relationship management platform. You have Blue Kai. You have all these things that surround the Oracle Marketing Cloud ecosystem that help you communicate to your customers. And then you have the other side that is business process oriented. So every region is bound by the processes that I've designed in Eloqua and how a lead will flow through and then ultimately show up in Salesforce. It allows you to track a lead through its disparate segments, stamp it each time, get conversion, and then you can communicate that total revenue picture to the upper management very easily using a tool like Eloqua. Being able to communicate and say marketing drove 50% of the pipeline this quarter, or marketing drove 90% of the overall pipeline of the company for the year, those are good conversations to have, and they're easy with tools like Eloqua.
Okay, so one of the conversations that was had earlier as part of the panel was around personalization. Now, I don't know if you're aware of the concept that was developed by Brendan Witcher from Forrester, which he terms it personalization 2.0. I personally don't like the term personalization 2.0. You would have heard the other ones of like segment of one or audience of one and so on. I also don't like those. I personally call it individualization. Now, one of the things that was said up here in the panel was people don't know how to get there. They don't know how to get to that individualization. And there are some key building blocks that you need to put in place in order to get there. And that's obviously around, well, say obviously, it's around customer, single view of customer is probably the biggest thing that you need to do in order to start being able to deliver that individualization. The other thing is, often companies are so siloed from a system, digital perspective, that you can't get things to talk to each other. And if you can't get things to talk to each other and even leverage your first-party data, how are you going to be able to actually have those conversations with your customers? Anyway, you know, the world has changed, and you know, the CMOs are under pressure at the moment to bring more revenue in. And if you look at it, the trends these days, especially globally, CMOs are largely responsible for most of the sales cycle. The actual crossing the line of closing the deal might be a salesperson. So we've got all these other kind of disruptors, and we talk about them. They were very fortunate in that they came into the market and they built themselves as a digital-first type business. But the key thing about these guys is that when they built this, they built it around the customer experience. They didn't build it around, obviously, the vehicle. They were trying to connect people, but they built it around the customer experience. I truly believe that the way you differentiate yourself these days is around customer experience and the way you can serve your customers. I think customer service is one of your biggest sales tools. We hear loyalty, and I will ask the question, what is loyalty? And it means something different to many different people. Some people think that loyalty is a points-based system that you must have in order to create loyalty. But you don't have to do that in order to create loyalty. I think loyalty and loyalty programs can be used very nicely if done the right way. And there's certain people in the country that do it really well, and some people that don't do it very well, because ultimately their intention is to drive the next visit and to kind of personalize for yourselves, or for the individual, should I say. So the mindset of today's customer has changed, and like I said, it's a global thing. People shop less in store, they dine out more. They're looking for better experiences, in-store experiences, across various categories, as well as they have a demand for specialty services and products. And like I said, people do work with people. People want to be treated as people, as a person. I don't want to be treated as a number. Yeah, and I think you can all kind of understand that. I mean, there's a shopping retailer, whatever you want to call it, FMCG. You go in there, there's typically 2 people at the till. You walk up to pay for your goods and they don't talk to you. They look at your product and they say, oh, why are you buying this? And, you know, and then they shove it off. And then you leave. And the experience as a customer isn't great. Then there's another one, you go, there's typically one person, you'll go there, you give the card, and they at times greet you by name. Hello, Mr. Sipman. And then when you're finished, you leave and she packs the bags and everything, you say, thank you very much, goodbye. And she will say, goodbye, have a nice day. Now, those are 2 different experiences. Now, there's no IT solution that you're going to put in place to change that experience. That's a people thing. And that's change management. You know, and how you drive that, because if you've got unhappy employees that don't believe in your brand, your customers are not. So if your employees aren't brand ambassadors for your company, then why would your customers want to be? Then they're only shopping you on price. And then what's the point? Because somebody else is going to come in and beat you. So we all know this, that the customer journey has changed. That journey from awareness to advocacy has changed. It's no longer linear, and it can start anywhere. So, you know, what we're really trying to do is we're trying to take a look at these journeys, try and catch these journeys as they are created. There are always signals of intent that are going out via social media, via the web, based on searches, this, that, the next thing. And what your role is as marketers or as people within the business is to catch these people whilst they're on that journey and convert them into your customer. So these are all fantastic ideas. I think they're great. You know, it sounds great, but then how do you do it? And I think that's where people struggle. We can talk about this. The fact of the matter is you need the tools. Yeah, and you need the tools that are going to help you catch this third-party data, first-party data, and be able to leverage that in the moment. Now, the important thing there is in the moment, because we did allude on the panel here to timing. Like for me, what's the time now? It's still 11, but when it gets to 1 o'clock, don't send me an offer for breakfast. It's too late. It's the wrong time. You know, so the right offer to the right person is also based on the right time. So time is relevant and extreme relevancy, and it's about having that right conversation or the correct conversation. And I guarantee if you put the right offer to the right person at the right time, they will buy. I worked with a retailer here that. One of those guys where you swipe a card, but it's more like a membership program than actual loyalty program. They told me that they know when a woman buys a bottle of Garcinia Cambogia, the weight loss stuff, how long until she buys a yoga mat. And from there, how long until she buys an exercise machine, based on the data that they've collected over the years. Now, that's fantastic to have that data. That's great. But if you can't action it, it's useless. Correct. So you need the tools. You need these tools. How do you touch all these people as individuals when you're not connected to them? You're connected to them via device. So that's where, you know, I come in from an Oracle perspective. But anyway. So customer experience is the differentiator. So the better the service, the better the experience you can give your customer, they will come through. I think the stat is about 76% of people said they will pay more for a service if the service is focused on them. So we go through this whole process of acquiring customers, being that through data, being that through online, and our responsibility is to kind of nurture that relationship and convert it to become a customer. But then also fundamentally, we want to grow that customer. We want them to be a valuable customer. We want to retain that customer, and we need to kind of work with that. Also, in the day of big data, social, this, that, next thing. We want to be able to do lookalike kind of marketing based on our successful customers or our high-value customers so that we can acquire more customers. But fundamentally, we don't want to always focus on acquiring because we don't want to be losing. But you want to acquire just because you want to grow, obviously. So, ultimately, in this kind of day and age where we've got people online, starting a journey here, Amazon or with their friends or on LinkedIn, Facebook, wherever it may be, it's really a data-first approach that we need to look at. So we need to understand, you need to understand your customers. You need to be able to engage with them across all the various channels, and then you'll have to deliver a consistent experience across those various channels. One of the things that I did also hear or see was this concept of, we come from a multi-channel kind of environment, the old view. Then we talk about omni-channel. Now, omni-channel, but the one thing I prefer in terms-wise is being cross-channel, but delivering a single conversation to an individual cross-channel. And, a lot of the time, what gets ignored in that is the actual physical channel. So if you're a bank, the branch. If you're a retailer, the store. That experience is not consistent. So we've got to be able to blend our data with our digital creativity. The customer is effectively a digital native. Yes, I know that we do have challenges around connectivity and various areas. I think there are always solutions that could be kind of thought of when we go into like more rural areas. But there is a change in banking. I don't know if you know that there's a digital bank that's been launched. Pure digital. It was actually, I think, Commonwealth Bank from Australia is part of the funders of it. But they have dropped their account. So one of the banks locally, account origination process, probably about 1,200 Rand to originate a bank account. They can do it at $4. That changes the way things happen. Now your banking services are cheaper. It's pure play online. I mean, you can't go and engage with them. M-Pesa was mentioned earlier. I've seen them use it a lot with paying cabs, paying everything, up in Nairobi also. We've got competitors out there that are busy innovating. You've heard that statement. If you're not disrupting, you're being disrupted. And ultimately, there's reputation, and people are talking about you. You want people to be advocates. You want to understand the customer journey. But you've got to be able to be creative in how you do things. One of the things I say, and I'll go back to retail because it's something that we all pretty much understand, but it's far easier and far cheaper for me to put an offer to an individual as opposed to doing an on-shelf discount. It's high cost, especially if you're looking at FMCG. So you want to be in a place where you can actually target your customers at the right time. So, this is really about obviously bringing in a platform. And, one of the biggest challenges to digital transformation in organizations is the fact that they have these siloed environments. Data is all over the place, and they will go out and they will grow almost organically and buy best-of-breed solutions, and they can't leverage the information or leverage the processes or even leverage the technology in order to start these conversations with their customers. So this platformization is it's an important topic to have or to discuss. So we call it what we call it is an all-in-one kind of environment where we've got connected data, connected intelligence, and connected experiences. When we look at data, we're talking about the customer data, whether we're looking at first-party, third-party, unstructured data, bringing that and applying AI to this so that we can get the outcomes out of it, actionable outcomes, so we can immediately put a response out there based on certain factors or certain things that a customer has done. Connected intelligence, we've got things like blockchain in the platform, AI, as I mentioned, machine learning, robotics, as well as IoT. And the one nice thing about having a platform is that when quantum computing does come, we'll stick it in the platform. And people get the benefit of it immediately, as opposed to having to go out there and build this stuff. And the one thing I would challenge a lot of people here and in the businesses is, are you IT companies? You know, if you're a banker, are you an IT company? Or are you a banker? If you're a retailer, are you a retailer or are you an IT company? Well, do what you do best, sell things, get more customers. Don't go and try and build these things yourself, because you're not going to be able to achieve it. And then ultimately also, like we say, connected experiences. So if we look at what that kind of looks like from a more of a kind of platform type view, sorry, went a bit quick there. You know, we've got, the platform supports the whole acquire, convert, grow customer life cycle with the connected experiences that integrate into social chatbots. They spoke about robotics chatbots. Also, there's a big movement that's called, you know, beyond the screen. It's about interfacing with systems of record without using a screen per se, as in a laptop, but through voice. So Amazon Alexa is one of them. Google Duplex and Google Assistant, Siri. We've got a product called Voice that integrates into our platform. And a lot of that stuff is maturing, and it's maturing very quickly. Not to mention the things like VR and AR as solutions to interact with the systems, as opposed to sitting behind a screen. And there's some fantastic applications for things like VR, AR in medical treatment, paramedics, this, that, the next thing, learning, and so on. And at the end, I'll talk a bit about what I see some of the innovations coming, and we can talk a bit about that. And it's also about this intelligent chatbots and intelligent assistants, where it leverages the data that you have in your systems of record and takes that and helps build experiences or drive experiences from a service perspective and so on in a without a person actually doing it. But that's really about not over voice or not a talking thing, but really about chat or whatever. I'm frozen. So if you look at the things, they spoke about e-commerce earlier. E-commerce is great. I don't think that e-commerce is always totally the disruptor. I mean, there's only some pure play e-commerce vendors out there like Takealot and so on. But if you start looking at the likes of Pick and Pay and so on, they cannot be pure play online. Because FMCG, you're going to want to go in store. But what I do see in the application of VR is really having these immersive experiences where you can put on a VR headset and you can walk into the store effectively, and you can walk through the store with your trolley and pick things off the shelves. Okay? Now, what's the benefit of doing that? And as we said earlier, the e-commerce sites, you look for things, you trawl through these catalogs, trying to find something that you actually want, and you struggle and you struggle and you struggle. And then you go and you build yourself a shopping list, and that's what you order off every month. You have beginning of month shopping list, during the month shopping list, and so on. So you'll just order off that. Now that then cuts the cross-sell, upsell opportunity. But if you're walking through a store and you're looking at products, you can grab that product. Oh, look there's that product. But what could be done also quite nicely with that is with AI. So building a store that is specific to a person. Doing product placement based on that individual. Okay? Building the next aisle that they walked down based on the products they took off the first aisle. You can do a cross-sell, upsell, all those kind of things. So the VR shopping experience is coming, but when you start applying AI to it and so on, it's going to be a different experience. So I'm just going to go back one slide. So all I wanted to say with regard to this is that we've got the tools that help you in this entire process. We've also obviously got tools that help with the other aspects of customer experience around service and sales and stuff like that. But from a marketing perspective, we've got a fantastic suite of tools that really help you with from a data perspective. So Oracle's been in the market, in marketing environment, marketing solutions for over 15 years. We've helped them deliver around $70 billion, and our top customers generate about $1 billion. So one of the things here for me is what scares a lot of people, and this is why I've put the slide up there. This is the old traditional marketing type projects and that kind of thing, with these big bang type implementations and so on. This is really different. We're saying there's certain pieces you can choose. And you got to get going effectively. Ooh. Okay, so the whole point is, get started, get going. Take building blocks, build, get better, get ahead, start disrupting. The fact of the matter is customer journey, digital journey, digitization is not a journey, because there is no end. You're not going to get to the end. It is ongoing, and it's going to be like that forever. So it's an infinite kind of loop, as that shows you. But when the next fifth industrial revolution comes, which is likely to be things around neural networks and neural interfaces, quantum computing, and so on, you're not going to jump the fourth industrial revolution to get there. You still have to go through this process of consolidating your data and being lean, mean, and agile, and being able to be flexible and take things to market really quickly. So as I said, the key thing, and from a call to action, is get going. Do something about it. Get better, and then get ahead. And start disrupting your competition. Just some stats around some of the case studies and what people have experienced using the tools. Lenovo up 124 times on revenue generation, and Build.com 200% open rates, and so on. Just to put some numbers so you can see that I'm not lying. Anyway, there is a call to action from my side. There are feedback forms on the table here. If you can fill it out and just give us your feedback and your details if you'd like to meet with us. I will be around with the team during lunch. Please come and have a chat. I'd love to come to your businesses and sit with you and have a discussion about how you get there. I can talk to you about the pitfalls and things you should look out for by embarking on bringing in these tools. And like I say, engage with the team. So I will take questions if you've got questions, or we can discuss some things if you see certain things in the market. And a lot of the things we talk about is based on what we see as global trends. But those global trends are happening here. And we have a very different kind of market in that we have a first world component and then we have a 10th world component. And there are different solutions and different things that need to be done for those different kind of demographics, or LSMs, or whatever you want to call them. Thank you very much.